All right, let's dive in. We're talking about a plan that's set to completely shake up the world of sports, and it all kicks off in 2026. The whole power dynamic is about to shift, and it's moving straight into the hands of the athletes. Let's get into it.
Just think about this for a second. What if the stars of the show, the athletes themselves, what if they had direct ownership and control over all the value they create? It's a huge question, and honestly, it's the real driving force behind everything we're about to unpack. To really get a sense of the stakes here, just look at this number, $200 billion. And get this, that's just the global soccer industry alone. When you're talking about that much money flowing through a sport, the question of who's actually in control becomes, well, absolutely critical. So here's the core problem today. For all the money in the game, the system itself is just deeply unbalanced. It's what you'd call a centralized model, where a handful of organizations right at the top are controlling the vast majority of the wealth. And this chart, it really just lays it all out there, plain and simple. In an industry like soccer, a staggering 70% of all the revenue is centralized. That means it flows through the leagues, through the governing bodies, and not directly to the people who are actually creating the action on the field. So, the bottom line is this. The athletes, who are the absolute heart of this whole industry, they often have an incredibly tough time capturing a fair piece of the economic pie that they helped bake in the first place. And that fundamental imbalance, that's exactly what this 2026 plan is setting out to fix.
Okay, so how on earth do you change a system this massive? Well, the answer lies in some powerful new tech called tokenization. And trust me, this isn't just a buzzword. It's the engine that's going to power a whole new, decentralized sports economy.
Let's break that down, because it sounds complicated, but it's not. Tokenization is basically the process of turning an asset, say an athlete's brand rights or a killer highlight clip, into a unique digital token. This token then lives on a blockchain, which is just a public, unchangeable record book. That's what makes it a verifiable certificate of ownership that no one can fake or copy. It's like a digital deed. Really, it all boils down to these three simple steps. First, you digitize an asset. Second, you create a one-of-a-kind token for it, which you've probably heard of as an NFT, or a non-fungible token. And third, and this is where the magic really happens, athletes can use that token to engage and even do business directly with their fans, totally cutting out the traditional middleman.
Now, a plan this huge needs a massive stage to prove it can work. So in 2026, an organization called Apertum SportsFuture is using 4 of the largest sporting events on the entire planet to show how this new model can work in the real world.
First on the list, the 2026 Winter Games in Milan. We're talking about a global spectacle that brings the best winter athletes together from all corners of the world. And the scale here is just immense. These games generate over $7.6 billion in revenue. So the initiative is to tokenize athlete brands, and the goal is to create a direct pipeline for those athletes to claim a much fairer share of that massive financial pool for themselves. All right, next up, let's see how this same model can be applied to the high-octane, globe-trotting world of Formula One. Okay, so F1 is a $2.5 billion a year market. The goal here is to capture about 10 to 15% of that. How? By letting fans do things like co-own the designs for a driver's merchandise and then share in the profits. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars being redirected from the Central League to the athletes and their supporters. And then, of course, there's the big one, the 2026 FIFA World Cup hosted all across North America. It's set to be the biggest soccer tournament in history, period. With an estimated 5 billion viewers, that number is just hard to even wrap your head around. The plan here is to use athlete-owned NFTs to shift a pretty big percentage of revenue away from that old centralized model. And that money, it's going directly into things like funding scholarships for new talent and providing gear for up-and-coming athletes. And finally, we're stepping into the world of combat sports, everything from the big UFC events to the World Karate Championships. Now, this is where the impact becomes incredibly clear and personal. In the traditional model, a fighter might be lucky to keep about half of their earnings. But with tokenization, by selling things like their own fight highlights directly to fans, they can keep 80 to 90%. That's not just a small change, that is a life-changing difference. So these 2026 events are the big showcase, but what's the long-term plan? Well, it's all about building a sustainable ecosystem, and the creators have this fantastic way of explaining it. They call it
the super mall. Seriously, forget about the abstract tech for a minute. Just picture a massive digital shopping mall where the athletes are the store owners. They're selling their own merchandise, digital collectibles, and exclusive experiences directly to you, the fan. And this mall isn't just some concept, it's powered by real infrastructure. So, for example, openplaza is like the main storefront where you can browse and buy athlete NFTs. Editions is like the exclusive high-end boutique for those rare limited-time drops. And OTC, which stands for over-the-counter, is basically the secure back room where major high-value trades can go down safely. It's a whole digital economy built from the ground up to support this new ecosystem.
So, after seeing all of this, what does it actually mean for the future? More importantly, why does any of this matter to you, as a fan? And that brings us to the final big question. Is this new model the real future of fandom? Something that's going to let us have deeper, more direct connections with the athletes we admire? Or is it just creating a new kind of digital stock market for sports? The answer is going to start unfolding in 2026. And you know what? It could change the game forever.